should have had one of those pens with me. All right, so let's see. Camera. What do I want? Do I want to put banners? Yeah, I want to put banners. Go back to the comments. I want to put a copy this, right? And then I want to put it in the chat. Nope. Um, right, there we go. All right, now it's there. Okay. Hey, hey everybody. Hello. Happy Sunday. Um, I'm doing this live because I actually heard like a really aggravating live on TikTok in regards to trying to shit on Megan Thee Stallion at the GNC, right? And it was one of those lives where you have a lot of women and then you had a couple of dudes, but it's always this one black male that is always trying to overtake the conversation, always trying to outtalk the host, like steal the show. Okay. And so his whole thing, which I always have a problem with, is how these black males who really have never done anything to take care of the black family, help the black women and children, and be these so-called men that they always want to, be referred to as, always have a problem with black women having to live up to this overly censored, super serious type of morality where we're these, how can I even put it? Like these projected religious poor nuns that they want us to be, where that saying, literally they want you to be a freak in the sheets but a lady in the streets, right? And everything they talk about in regards to black women is always a monolith of how we're supposed to entertain their desires, their thoughts, their opinion of what a woman is and what femininity is, when they don't even understand the words or the definitions of words that they use, because femininity has nothing to do with how you look, how you behave, or what you do as a woman. Femininity encompasses, period, simply that you are a woman. That's all femininity is. You are a fucking woman, period. You have the ability to give life and to bring forth other human beings in the world. That's what it means in completely. The essence of a woman is to be feminine. It is not to conform to some narcissistic or malignant narcissistic male's opinion of you to make them happy because you're living up to their ego. Okay. So as I was watching, as I was watching, as I was watching this live, right? Hold on. I can't, my StreamYard is I have to upgrade it to, oh yeah, that's right. They don't even have TikTok on it. They have all that other shit without TikTok. But I just want to, while I'm talking to you, I just want to stream what I'm doing on TikTok as well. Yeah, because it's just really crazy how they do. It really is. All right. So, okay, so let me get back into it. And I don't have a lot of damn battery on this phone. So when it goes out, it goes. I won't stay long. I just want to get this out here. If there's any black women in the chat, and I only want to hear from black women, please click the link because I want to hear your take on what I'm talking about. And I want to explain things thoroughly, real quickly, in regards to how I feel about this whole over policing of Black women's bodies by Black males in society, and also the duplicity of how these I should say, patriotic, not patriotic, uh, patriarchy, white, rich, male dominated industries like to continue to promote the image of stereotypes of Black women from slavery. And what society mostly tends to do is to ignore the fact that these caricatures and these stereotypes and these projections and images and even, should I say, reputational characters that they create about Black women through the music industry, the movies, magazines, and even on YouTube, right? How and TikTok, when they have certain Black women who are bought and paid for, like these Black women that are supposedly running for Trump and they're MAGA nuts too. Like all of these things are stereotypes and caricatures of Black women that are literally bought and paid for and pushed into society by the white ruling rich white man to always keep Black women in this type of pigeonhole box of being made held to the standard of respectability politics, um, anti-blackness towards Black women, um, the Hottentotten, um, the four women from the Nina Simone's song, The Four Women. You have your mulatto girl, who's the tragic mulatto, which was what did they call her? My name is My name is Peaches. My name is Aunt Sarah. My name is Sweet Thing. My name Sophronia, right? So you got the mulatto who's Sophronia, where she is the slave history and the American Black woman's history of always being violently sexually raped by white men. And the product of that violation of the Black woman's body, whose body has always been seen as property to white men in America, comes the girl Sophronia, the mixed breed, the half breed, the mulatto girl. Then you have the women like me who are seen as, they call me peaches, right? Because I'm pro Black women, not pro Black women. What's up, MN? And I'm also, how they said in the song, Nina Simone's song, I'm angry as hell. And anybody these days could get it because I'm that violent and that angry because my parents were slaves, right? So I hold all of that anger. I hold all of that suffering in silence. And the fact that Black women just want to be free, but everybody in the society, especially the Black male, is trying to stifle us and make us cover our bodies. Shut your mouth. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're not allowed to stand up for yourself or speak about the injustices or the inequalities you face. You're just supposed to constantly keep being beat down upon and just take it and take it and take it and convince yourself that that is what you're supposed to do in life. And then you have the third person, which is Aunt Sarah. And Aunt Sarah, for the Four Women songs, the Four Women, the song written by Nina Simone, is the older Black lady who they would refer to as Big Mama, the one who is unapologetic for everything wrong that Black males do. My son can't do nothing. He's the picture of perfection. But my daughter, on the other hand, is too fast because she's out there trying to entice grown ass men who should know better and who want to look up under her dress, but they use her flirtation or just her regular childish and childhood curiosity and precociousness to make it seem like she's a sex vixen and the grown man that wants to ravish this little girl sexually is the victim and the little girl is the predator or the offender. Those are the four women. Did I get everybody? I got Sophronia, I got Peaches, I got Aunt Sarah. Oh, Sweet Thing. I forgot Sweet Thing. Sweet Thing is the black woman who historically has been beaten down by society, mentally savaged and traumatized to the point where she has no self love, no self esteem, no self worth. She's the one that becomes the crackhead and is the 7-time baby mama for abusive men that beat her to death or beat her for the rest of her life, embarrass her in the street, embarrass her in the home in front of her children. And she is the person that never speaks up for her children. She will go back and forth to jail for a useless son who has murdered people or be who has been a sexually deviant pedophile, these types of things. She's also the one that says shit like what goes on in this house stays in this house and wants to beat you to death in the head with religion to convince you that your rule what's up, Kiana? Your role as a woman is to stay stuck in this fucked up life because just because you black and a woman, you don't have any other choice but to be abused. Okay, so I covered all those women, right? That come out of Nina Simone's song, The Four Women, which derive from the historical stereotypes that would derive from slavery. Because of black women being owned and being seen as property and the sexual, I don't know what you want to call it. Can't call it prowess. You can't call it conquest. Uh, sexual, sexual living hmm, sexual living victim of white males' sexual deviancy on black women's bodies, right? So when you got all of that in the history of this country, and you have black women no longer live restricted for some, man, fuck you. I'll just go live again. Every time I'm on live and I'm talking, right? You people on TikTok, give me 1 second. If they shut this down, I will open it right back up and continue on where I was at. The reason I'm doing it this way is because I actually don't have an account where I can stream to TikTok at the same time. So I apologize. But I'm mainly on YouTube. If you get stuck or you miss me or you don't catch me as soon as I start a live again, come to Simply Stephanie 2, the number 2 on YouTube. I'm here. So let me get back to it, right? So the thing is, okay, did they cut it off already? Or they giving restrictions and all this bullshit? All right. So if it pops off, I'm gonna turn it right back on TikTok. All right. So the thing is, when you come from be a black woman, you come from the history of all of this, and we've suffered all this sorrow. And then you have religion being beat down onto your people as your only saving grace. This starts up this whole manifestation of these black males with this submission and why they need to be the leaders of the households and why black women should be subservient and indentured to them under this whole belief of superiority versus inferiority. All right. For anybody that missed this stuff, I'm giving a complete background to what went on in a conversation I was interpreting from TikTok of a live where an older black male was having quite an issue with a lot of black women of different ages, ranging very young to older, who did not have a problem with twerking and Megan Thee Stallion at the DNC convention. And the reason this was becoming an issue was because of the fact that this older man wanted to keep focusing on controlling the image and the availability and the nudity of black women. So just like back in slavery, he's coming from an overseer's point of view. Like his job is not to protect and worry about the health, welfare, and safety of black women. His job on this panel was to just try to humiliate and degrade black women for us having the full freedom and autonomy to do with our bodies whatever we want, even if what we want to do with our bodies does not conform to the opinion of many other people. Hold on, I think they cut me off. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me get rid of this shit over here and do it again. That's no problem. Oh, it's still going. All right. Okay. No, it's still going. Sorry. All right. So we are able to do with our bodies what we want, regardless of somebody else's, of us, of anybody else thinking we got to conform to our to their. Let me start again. Blah 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 blah. My brain is moving too fast. We have the right to do with our bodies whatever we want, and we do not have to go along with subscribing to what someone else's opinion of how we should handle and what we should do with our body is. That was the rift between the women on that TikTok live, and it's still going on right now, and the old dude, because the young women were coming from a perspective of saying, listen, when I was younger and I listened to all these very detrimental and harmful to the image and to the safety and to the sexual assault of black women as a young girl, where every rapper was talking about a black woman being a hoe, a slut, or how she could suck their dick and how they fucked her, and it's no fun if they homies can't get none, all that type of shit. Y'all remember this, right? Because I remember this too, because I also grew up on this. So she was talking about how it's funny how when these dudes talk about black women's morality, they always try to kick our morality up to a point that no other woman has to reach or meet that standard of. It's like we have to be the most overly dressed, the most conserved, the most. Oh, I have to think about the representation and the what's the other thing he said? The representation, the presentation, and how society will react to me as a black woman if I decide to twerk, push my titties up where they're popping out of my fucking turtleneck, or show any cleavage to be sexy and to do anything that the other women are doing, or anything we invent that we do that everybody wants to follow. We're supposed to be seen and not heard, fucked and not enjoy it, forced to be somebody's mother, somebody's wife, somebody's home servant, bang maid, whatever you want to call them, and never have shit to say about it. Just literally be alive to be society's human fucking toilet bowl, so everybody can shit, piss on us, and wipe their ass on us anytime they want to. And all we're supposed to do is sit there like we're out of some old fucking English goddamn novel where we're supposed to hold our hands out or a bowl and ask for more abuse. You know, it is utterly sick. And so the thing I liked about this live was that the younger woman who was speaking, she let this old guy know, listen, when I listened to those videos of those men that were talking so horrifically about black women sexually, there was no empowerment in that. It was all humiliation. It was all dehumanization. It was all demeaning and belittling. I was looked at as nothing but like literally be somebody's personal fucking comeback. That's all I was looked at as. This is what she's saying, not verbatim. I'm paraphrasing and adding my own shit to it, right? And she was right. And then she went on to say, but when I listened to Megan, and who is very much pro women and all about independence and radical feminism, right? And in financial empowerment, which is the like most important part, because if you ain't got no money, you could be as emboldened, as independent as you fucking want, but you ain't gonna get nowhere or have shit in life if you ain't got no money. So you have to be dedicated enough to go out in this world, get your education, get your career, get your 9 to 5, so that you are responsible for yourself financially. So you don't have to suck no strange dick on the corner to make your bills or pay your rent, right? And you could be free to be who you want to be, even if that means you're a complete recluse and don't want to talk to nobody and just want to be by yourself. You have the right to do that. And this is all the things this young girl was explaining. And then she went on to talk about how the big difference in this whole thing about how the music industry keeps pushing out these negative images of black women, even when they're not totally negative. Because if I look at Megan's twerking, I don't always think that it's appropriate for me. But that's because I'm almost 60. Now, if you would talk to me if I was 20 something, 30 something, and I want to twerk the ass I was given, right? The same way she does hers, because it's very similar, I wouldn't think it was a problem with it because it's mine to shake and I'm not hurting anybody. And what I do literally does not affect another person unless I am literally fucking harming them. All that stuff about presentation is important. Well, when black males traffic little black girls and when grown women are prostituting because a grown ass pimp is forcing them to do that, isn't that also presentation? Shouldn't that shit be important too? All of this is what was being talked about in subtle ways and was rolling around in my head. And I said, all of this shit really comes back to the assassination of the black woman's character. That's all this shit boils down to. Because no one is ever looking at all of the external factors that are behind what Megan is doing. If Megan is on stage twerking as she was in the DNC, did anybody stop to realize that she changed her clothes and she changed the way she performed the twerking to be, for a lack of better words, more respectable when she was twerking, right? Because her whole thing was the premise of her performance, the reason she was there was to pull in the young girls that are usually thought of as the untouchables or the forgotten or the ones that ain't gonna do shit with their life, right? Those are the girls, the little black girls in the hood that grow up in households where their mothers let grown ass men abuse them, talk to them like they ain't shit. They let grown men and even their own mothers call them bitches and all this type of stuff from the time they wee little girls to big grown women. And the ones that may have been caught by some older male and made and baby trapped them into teenage pregnancy, or now they very young in their early 20s with like 4 and 5 fucking kids and the rest of their future is damn near gone shot because nobody cared enough to tell them stay away from that shit, it's no good for you. All of that was in that conversation, and all of that was an interpretation I got from watching that performance at the DNC. But what I want to add to it is when Meg came there to bring those group of young women that everybody tends to throw away or act like they ain't worth shit, because they actually are. They are very valuable, right? To bring them in and make them understand you too have a chance of changing what goes on in this society you live in. And you too can make things better for yourself, even though right now, little black impoverished girl, with somebody beating your ass every day or somebody sexually violating you every day, you can have a much brighter future. If you understand that, if you take your civic duty, which is voting and dealing with the voting process in life, you could change your life overnight. You as a black girl, a young black girl, a young black woman, a grown black woman, an older black woman, if you realize that this patriarchy is completely comprised and is successful and staying strong on the oppression and suppression of women and mostly black women, because they use us today the same way they did in slavery for us to pump out babies in poverty that are going to go nowhere but to the cemetery or to the fucking prison. And in both of those designations, those last locations they're going to end up in, each one of them makes a hell of a lot of money for this country. So when you have a person like Megan that comes to the DNC rally and she tones down the way she dresses and she tones down the way she normally would twerk, right? It is to show those other young girls that people have counted out. No, we're thinking about you too. We know you could do something with your life too. And it starts with recognizing that when you get rid of all of the racist, white, powerful men in the government that make it where for you to get an education, you're going to have a shitload ton of student loans on your back. And you're going to have to go through all these fucking obstacles just to get your state license or get your law degree. When you realize that if you actually take the time to sit down and learn how the voting system in America works, you can vote all of those racist Republicans, racist white men, racist, well, not racist black men, because black men can't be racist because they don't own anything and they're not able to oppress and suppress a group of people. But problematic, self hating, black women hating, black males from all levels of the government. Simply by registering to vote, voting for Kamala for president, voting throughout the Democratic ticket, all Democratic, so that when these people get into office, they can expand the Supreme Court so that no longer can Clarence Thomas or Alito, I think is how you say that man's name, can continue to monopolize and change the rules in this country to make it one-sided for Republicans and not in any way even partially fair for the whole fucking country. Taking away Roe versus Wade really hurts women because the majority of black women are concentrated in the South. Like 59 or 57 to 59% of us live in the South. And we live in poverty in the South. We also live in states in the South where white supremacy is rule. And we see that through what recently happened to Sonia Massey and all the young children that have been recently drowned by white people and other children in the South this summer alone. When you have this situation and you have these people that are living under this, in a way, type of tyranny, and they all of a sudden get like a breath of fresh air, or they get like an epiphany of, oh, I can make a difference. I can make a change in this system. I could do something where I will no longer have to go through this stuff and I can get something better, something more out of this. That's what that whole entire thing was when Kamala Harris invited Megan Thee Stallion to the DNC rally. Because you see, unlike the rest of the world and these black males on TikTok and YouTube that run around trying to make black women a monolith, some crazy caricature of black women that runs around screaming, going crazy on people, getting arrested in Dubai, standing on top of counters like they did in New York City, breaking up stores and shit, throwing chairs, stealing out of stores, restaurants, fighting with people, abusing their babies. That is not who we are collectively as a group of women. Collectively as a group of women, we are just as individual and as any other race of people on the face of this earth. And now is your time, black women, for you to realize that once you vote in a woman president, the way many other countries have already done, women in this country will finally get a chance at living a fulfilled life in whatever that looks like for them. So that's why it was so important for Megan to be at that DNC. And also, she not only had Megan, she had Quavo, I think, there too. And again, they do these things specifically targeted to reach different demographics of society, to let people know, like Jesse Jackson, right? Keep hope alive because we still see you. We still know you're out there. We just need you to tap in and help us out so we could actually start working towards some real change to help you. So I'm still sitting there, I'm listening to this, and I'm listening to all this good, talk that's coming out of this live that was going on TikTok. And as the women were talking and they were explaining a lot of things I just spoke about and how it actually affects women's lives and how little girls look up and they see the things that are happening to their mom, their grandmothers, the women around them, and then they see some type of possibility, some type of hope, or even just something different, right? In some of these entertainers. America understands that. So therefore they begin to use like a duality with the entertainers. They will juxtapose Sexy Red with Megan Thee Stallion. Now, many people will think they're the same when they're absolutely not. Sexy Red is a conquered black woman that they want all black women to be who live in these so-called designated areas of America where it is hyper ghetto, ghetto fabulous, whatever you want to call it, riddled with violence, ignorance, poverty, no hope for anything besides death, drug addiction, and violence. So when they notice, right, they say to themselves, okay, if we're too offensive, we're going to turn everybody off. So we got to give it a duality where people like me that's talking to you right now that can see the difference between Megan and Sexy Red will be able to argue the value of Megan and then turn around and literally tell you with all my fucking heart and soul, I denounce everything Simply Red stands for. I don't agree with any black woman fucking for free. I don't agree with any black woman fucking without a condom, especially poor black motherfuckers in the neighborhood who are only known for beating your ass, coming in your home and abusing all of your resources, taking your life by black femicide, snatching up our little girls nationwide into human trafficking and forcing them into local prostitution. And let me tell you, black women, something. They have been doing this shit to us, these black males, since 1920. And the reason I'm using that date specifically, you can look this up. There have been like 3 or 4 books written about the prostitution that was created in Detroit and Chicago when the black people migrated in the great exodus from the south to the north and in the Midwest. It is crazy. It started from 1920, the roaring 20s, all the way up to modern fucking day. So when this black and I won't even begin. Let me just throw this in there before I talk about that black dude again. I won't begin to talk about my foremothers' history in Louisiana, where prostitution of black women started before even the fucking state existed. That's how deep it was. Okay, but let me get back to this. So that prostitution that those black males that are supposed to be kin to us were doing to us from 1920 to present day is the backdrop of why that older black dude in that TikTok live kept talking about black women's morality and kept wanting to focus on the twerking of her ass instead of the fact that Megan is supposed to be there to represent the girls that are forgotten who are attracted to that element and to Megan's you go girl, women empowerment, radical feminism belief, right? That black dude kept wanting to go back to she needs to control herself. She needs to conform to my opinion of who she's supposed to be. She needs to conform to my control over how I think she should be dressed in society. She needs to conform to whatever it is I say she's supposed to do in society because she's a black woman. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but to be perfectly honest with all of you, I am up to here with black males and their over manipulation intimidation, violence, need to want to control, narcissistic abuse of Black women, and especially little girls. We have little girls right now being raised in households where they're being slapped in their mouths for speaking the truth, being threatened with violence and death because someone is violating their body. And when they try to protect their own body and their sexual innocence, they're being made to feel like they are powerless over their ability to decide about their own bodies. These are the things that when Megan was at this DNC rally, instead of them coming out and saying all of this stuff where they would be there talking for like 2 days to get all this shit out properly, right? This is what she represented. Because we all know little girls, because I was one of them, who was raped by their mother's boyfriend. And this motherfucker never went to jail. He never was arrested. He never got beat damn near within an inch of his motherfucking life by the family members, the male family members who should have handled him appropriately. That never happened. Or the little Black girls that are taken into foster care because they escaped another hell inside their home. And now they go to a different type of hell where foster parents are doing worse than the actual fucking parents was doing. This is all of the stuff that these women represent, that people like that old dude in the live had a problem with and constantly wanted to sweep that under the rug. But that rug, trying to cover up the reality of the abuse, the everyday societal, personal, familial, sometimes self-inflicted abuse of Black women, that rug trying to cover up all that shit was not the truth, not the facts of life and the fact of how racism affects all of us and white supremacy is the reason why we are treated this way. No, that's not what it was. He wanted to expose was the cover. He wanted to make the cover be shaming, blaming, and guilting Black women for everything in this world that is projected on us. That's what I wanted to put out here today to y'all. I wanted y'all to clearly understand that we as Black women have to understand that we are constantly under attack by everybody in this society, even these very Black males that too many Black women worship, advocate for, and want to pump to other Black women. They're the ones ruining the lives and the innocence of our little Black girls, taking away their mothers by Black femicide, and destroying their mother's sense of self, security, and destroying their person character and their will to live in their homes due to domestic violence. So when you recognize all this and you know all of this, you see it, you've lived it, you've heard about somebody else's life experience, you need to understand that whenever a Black woman comes out and she starts to speak about Black women empowerment, Black women independence, Black women rebellion, resistance, anything where Black women are saying enough is enough, motherfuckers, I am invoking the spirit of Fannie Lou Hamer to tell you that I'm tired of being motherfucking tired. That's what's going on when you see all that type of shit. So don't just look at it from the eyes of what society would like you to see, which is, oh, look at this nasty, disgusting, immoral, low morality having Black women where all she has to do in life is shake her big ass. Because isn't that what we're known for, Black women? Is to have a voluptuous ass. Have you ever asked yourself why we're known to have that? Could it be because we have been overly sexualized by white America, the legacy of slavery, the introduction, and the continued advocation through disgusting ass misogynistic rap videos, rap songs, rap lyrics, rap performances of the degradation and dehumanization of the black woman as a human being, and definitely of her curvaceous body. Was it not Snoop Dogg who literally had dog collars and a fucking leash on two black women, walking them on the ground like they were dogs? Or was I tripping? Because I know I seen him do that shit. And was that not the album cover? The photo of his album cover? So these are the things we need to understand, right? And although we got all this shit stacked against us, when we actually have a chance to make this world where we can be literally heard and not just seen as the big mouth black woman who got so much to say, but literally be a participant in this fucking life. And people look at us and say, okay, no problem. What's your input? What do you have to say? What do you think on this today? That is what Kamala and Megan was trying to do and trying to get across to all the people, especially the black women who have been left behind, to understand about why it is so fucking important for black women to come together, just like the AKA of the Divine Nine did, to push Kamala up into where she needs to be. Now, I don't know how many of you know how um, delegation works in America in regards to voting, but Kamala has gotten almost all the delegates that she needs to be guaranteed literally almost the presidency. All she needs now is for the vote of the common everyday citizen to show the actual support that she needs to get the college, what do they call it, the something college vote, right? So that vote comes from the masses of people who vote for her in a particular region. She gets that. Black people stay on top of their voter registration. They make sure they go to their state's voter registration website, make sure that they haven't been dropped off the voter registration roll. Electoral college, thank you, MN, right? So they get their vote from us masses voting in. So it's very important for you guys to make sure that your voter registration is active. You check and you find out. Because what has been happening with voter suppression, specifically in the South, right? And the reason they do that is once again because the majority of black people are in the South. They have had these different organizations of white women who have been dropping black people off of the voter registration roll. So if that happens, you want to put yourself back on as fast as you can. You have up until October 7th in order to register to vote. And you be registered on time and be allowed to vote without problem. However, if something goes wrong and you're dropped off the roll and you didn't know about it, or something kinky happens between now and October 7th and then October 7th to the election, you need to do a provisional ballot. And when you do any of these ballots, make sure you shade in the oval. Don't go outside the oval, and don't put any marks on your ballot, because if you do, those ballots can be discarded and not counted. Make sure that nobody who handles your ballot puts any marking on your ballot either, because I have seen videos of people reporting that they have had problems like that in the past. So let's not worry about that, because we're going to look out for that and prevent it, okay? All right. Now that I'm done with that, trying to continue to pump y'all and advocate for y'all to vote for Kamala, because America, black women, it needs change. You know it as well as I do. It needs change. There are too many black women being evicted all over this country because they don't make a good enough livable wage. There are too many black women dying due to black male violence, otherwise known as black femicide, because there were two HR bills. HR stands for the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives and the Senate make up what we know as the Congress. So your congressperson or congressman, congresswoman is the person inside of the House of Representatives. So when you are having bills trying to be passed through that house, the Senate also passes bills. But the two I know of were two specific House of Representative HR bills, one each one called the Protection of Black Women and Girls Bill, whatever the number was. It was two different bills. Each bill, because black women are not organizing our vote, we are not paying attention to the fact that we should not only be voting in the presidential election, but we should be voting for the Senate every time. We should be voting for the House of Representatives every time, so that when it's time to vote for the congressman and the senator, you're there at every election, so that when those bills hit those floors, you have more than enough Democrats to hopefully, I pray, we have a super majority of Democrats in both the House and the Senate, right? So that when bills come through to protect black women from black femicide, and there was also a committee trying to push through an actual new penal code for the offenders and the murderers who are killing black women and girls by way of black femicide, to make black femicide itself an actual penal code charge. So we would become a criminal charge. So all of these things were done within the last 2 years, and all were defeated. Why were they defeated? Because we live in a patriarchy. And men of any color do not think women's rights, excuse me, y'all. Men don't think women's rights are important. That is why and how a person like Donald Trump could get up in front of a full convention during his first term as presidency, right? And tell men, grab her by the pussy. Y'all remember that? And it is also why you have black women and black males advocating and supporting Trump, who has been documented in the files of the Epstein Island case as being a child sex offender, involved in a lot of those human traffickings that were going on with those little girls. And people are still not calling this man out on this. They are not recognizing it. They're acting like being a pedophile is okay as long as your name is Donald Trump. Being a rapist is okay as long as your name is Donald Trump. Because y'all are forgetting, in New York City, right here where I live, this man was found guilty on 34 fucking counts of crimes. 34. In addition to being sued and found guilty of sexual acts or sexual assault against two women. One, he has to pay that he still hasn't paid, and everybody are acting like they just forgot about how deviant this dude is. And if you want to go further than that, here in New York City where I live, when his daddy was still alive, he and his dad owned buildings in New York and in California, and would discriminate openly against Hispanics and blacks, to the point where the fucking attorney general of New York, again, back when his dad was alive, this was Cuomo's daddy, had to deal with these motherfuckers and almost lock the daddy up for housing discrimination. So please, in addition to all of that, Be well read on project2025.org. That's the website. And please read with your whole fucking heart, mind, body, and soul all of the ways he intends to be a dictator in America. Okay? And then, if you want to add a little bit more information to what you learn from there, read Agenda 47. That will also talk to you about what his intentions are for America to become a dictator, and how he feels that when he says, let's make America great again, means literally going back to 1870. Because what you guys are maybe not understanding is that to change America, you have to change the Constitution. Because every law in this country and all the powers of the three branches, the president, everybody, comes from the Constitution. So if he goes in that Constitution and does what he wants to do, which is to get rid of the 14th Amendment, do y'all know what the 14th Amendment is? I'm going to tell you, but I'll just say this. The 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendments were included into the Constitution for Black people who were enslaved at the time. The 14th Amendment is the one about our citizenship. So what he intends to do is to eliminate the 14th Amendment, means that Black people will lose their citizenship, thank you, immediately. And then all the other people who have been naturalized as citizens or become citizens a long time ago, residents, immigrants, migrants, even the anchor babies, the babies that people have in America so that their children are Americans, they will no longer be Americans. They will no longer be citizens. And the only people who will be deemed citizens are the ones that he feels can prove that their family lineage goes back far enough to where they accept the acknowledgement of their family in this country as being American, whatever that means to them. So that means that no longer your birth certificate will count, your social security won't count, any immigration or naturalization, but that won't count. He don't give a shit about that. He decides what will count, and you probably will not be able to provide to him whatever it is he comes up with that will make it count. And that automatically means for all of the people that look like me, you won't count, period, because you never migrated or immigrated. You were brought here as cargo, and then you were cattle reproduced. That's the reason why they call it American chattel slavery, because they reproduced you the same way they did cattle, live cattle. So that means we out the window. So I don't have an understanding of why you have AI pictures of Black women supporting Trump, and some crazy lady, I don't even know who she is, don't want to know, was actually at his rally trying to support him. And mind you, all these Black people were paid to do this. And clearly they have a very short memory, because even the Black Republicans that are in their party, remember all those losers that thought they were going to be the vice president? Tim Scott, whatever the other dude's name was. We have not heard or seen from them after he chose that crazy man Vance, right? Who's talking mad shit about Black people, Hispanic people, etc. But did y'all know this motherfucker got an Indian wife? So the hypocrisy with these people, the ignorance, the vitriol, and the hatred, the racial hatred for everybody that is not them, is just too much to take. So again, going back to the DNC and the performance of Meg with Kamala, and I'm not even going to touch Quavo. Quavo was there for those bum ass niggas on the corner that actually have the right to vote, who probably haven't voted in the last 7 years, haven't checked their registration roll. And when they get to the goddamn voting poll, they will have no choice but to fill out a provisional if they even fucking go. That's what he was there for. But black women, I just want y'all to understand that if you take your future seriously, your daughters, your granddaughters, even your great granddaughters' futures seriously, and you actually want a chance of tapping into some real creation for generational wealth, you have got to stay away from the Trump vote. You've got to stay away from that, and you got to be like the Divine Nine. You got to be like the AKAs, and you got to really back Kamala. And you got to not only do it yourself, but you have to talk to other black women and get them to understand that they have to cast their vote for her as well, so that America could finally come out of the fucking dark ages. Don't y'all think it's about time it comes out the dark ages? I mean, think about what I'm saying. We've had stuffy ass, corny fucking white men as presidents for the longest until mulatto ass Obama came around. And he did the same thing the white people do. But what will make a difference this time around is that black women, the same way we saw the AKAs give us a beautiful example of how to organize and use solidarity behind the scenes to come busting out with what it is we got to do in the record numbers that you needed to get the job done, is the same thing you do once this woman gets in. Organize your people wherever you're from, get your grassroots movements together, whatever you need where you live. If you need better daycare, affordable housing, job creation, I don't know, training for employment, whatever it is you need where you're at, you got to get those black women together. You don't, it takes no money to get a circle of sisters together, sit down in somebody's living room and talk about what we need in our community to improve it. You sit down, you write that shit out, literally. Write it out. Write out a full plan if you have to. And then you get a petition and you run around your neighborhood with over 1,000 signatures. And you take it to your local representatives, or you send it directly to, they have, when you send the stuff to the White House, you're not going to ever get Kamala or Biden. That's not going to happen. You're going to get the people that work underneath them, their aides, the cabinet people. That's who you're going to get. So you're going to target those people with what you want. And then this is where the rest of us black people that's still stuck in the church, right? You literally blackmail those preachers into doing something finally for the benefit of black women. If you want us black women to keep coming to this church, tied in and keeping money in your pocket, keeping your lights on and keeping you living however you living, you are going to use your influence, your pulpit, and the population of this church to back every demand we have in this plan and on this petition for what we need in our community. And if you do not do it, you will have one of the emptiest fucking churches in this area, to the point where you will have to find another fucking location. That's it. That's how you got to deal with people from now on. I'm telling you, this is the way Asians do it, Hispanics, whites, everybody. They make their demands and they stand, how y'all say, 10 toes down on that shit. And if you get a wise ass that will yes you to death, yes, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And then they get in and don't do shit, okay, no problem. That motherfucker's term is coming to an end eventually. A year before that term ends, you're either going to get your own candidate by choosing somebody in your own area, or you're going to find somebody that's already in your area working hard for the people in that community, and you're going to put all the people in the community behind that person. And you're going to do exactly what the AKAs did for Kamala for that candidate. And that is how you change America. Y'all hear me? The other thing I want y'all to do, just for y'all to get more background about how to impact politics and change America, please start reading some of the books by Dr. Claude Anderson. He's got a great one called Powernomics that teaches black people, black women especially, because we are the power block in the black community, how to leverage your economic empowerment towards all this political stuff that's happening out here in this country that's trying to take away our rights, take away the freedom over our own bodies, and keeping us in these terribly poor paid jobs, keeping us in these horrible ass neighborhoods, a lot of us, and keeping us in situations where we can't get no higher. It's what you got to do. Powernomics is one. Uh, what is the other one called? It's like white. What is it? Black. Wait. Black labor, white wealth. I believe it is. If you do a quick Google search for Dr. Claude Anderson, you will see the myriad of his books. His books talk about everything concerning black people, political empowerment, using your dollar to push your influence through America. And black women, you have a hell of an influence in America. You are the number one consumer. A lot of people will tell you that there's some shame in that. I'm here to tell you there's nothing but pride in that. Because being the number one consumer, you can literally put the fear of God into any company or business or politician in this country if we stick together as one block of black women and let them know, if you do not start representing us properly in your product, we will simply boycott you. We will not ever in our fucking lifetimes buy anything from you again. When they lose that billion something dollars, they will not only rethink and come back to the table and beg you for your dollar, but they will have a much better goddamn attitude. This, and you know this to be true. This is historically done. This is what all the black people did back before civil rights became a thing. When we were disrespected in the transportation, we told these white people in America, fuck your transportation. I will walk to the fucking shoes of my soles meet the ground or my feet touch them motherfuckers. Um, we will ride with each other in each other's cars. We will transport each other back and forth. We'll do whatever it takes. Ride a fucking donkey if we have to. We're not getting on your public transportation until you do right by us. You have to show them that today. That same spirit of all those black women that laid their lives down for us, got beat, got arrested, got killed. Listen, it's very real out here. You got to respect those people by fighting the same way today. I don't know how many of y'all know about the only Black Femicide March that was done by Rosa in Washington, D.C. I went there. I was one of only probably like out of 10 content creators, because I'm new to TikTok, but I've always been on YouTube, right? Who actually went, because it was a big thing on YouTube where women were trying to scare black women from attending this event. Nobody showed up. It was like maybe about 50 of us in total, right? Going to this event. This event was recorded by local media. It was written about in like a few states newspapers. I know an article was done in New York. An article was done, of course, in D.C. One was done in the state wherever Rosa originally like comes from. I think Oklahoma she's from. I'm not sure, but it was like a couple of articles, and then a year later, they did a follow up of where the movement was then. And I'm telling you this for a reason, because I'm telling you this story because of black women working collectively together and the things you can accomplish when you move together than when we separate, argue, and bicker about what black women wear, if they twerk, if they're married or not, if they have children or don't, want to date black males or don't. We don't need to give a fuck about that, right? A year later, they found that when Rosa and all of us was at that march that day, and we were making a lot of noise because we were literally on the hill. We were there. We were across the street from the hill, where all the representatives go to hash out our day-to-day business that they deal with for us. We were there making a lot of noise. A year later, all of that attention, all of the consideration for those two bills I told you about earlier in this video, the amount of women that had been killed, that doubled the year later, was a complete result of black women just like giving up on ourselves and going along to get along once again with patriarchy, and for the majority of us, validating our existence through men. And I was angry. I was angry as hell. And I even tried to hold my own rally. And because there was so many things going on in New York City, because we had so many riots in this city with all the things that have happened in the last 2 years, even up to the most recent attack that happened in Gaza, where the little 6-year-old girl Hind was killed. It was so chaotic in my city. Every time I tried to put in for a location to have a Black Femicide rally, and this is starting from October of last year, y'all, I was denied a location permit. As I speak to you right now, I was just denied a week ago for another location for a Black Femicide rally. So when I'm speaking to you about the importance of Black women getting it and understanding it, not just for ourselves, but for all of the Black women, and especially for our little girls that don't always come from the best supportive moms, households, or family members. We need to stop thinking about relationship lives, relationship panels, and we need to put all of our concentration behind Black women, cohesiveness, collectiveness, mothering our little girls, even if they don't come out of our own bodies, respecting other Black women, even when we don't like them and don't get along with them. Because if any of y'all know me from YouTube, I will talk how I feel about plenty of people over there that are not giving what I believe to be the correct message to Black women. And those of y'all who have known me from my first channel that was deleted from YouTube to this second one, you know I ain't lying. I will call shit as I see it. And the way I see it right now is that Black women, we have a huge decision to make. Are we going to choose to live better and actually vote in the first woman president for America and actually set the catalyst of change in action? Or are we going to play dead and let another, hear me when I'm saying this, or maybe I should do like Dr. Umar, let another destructive male president into the White House, who we already know because he's told us he's been dumb enough to put it in writing. He's been dumb enough to say it everywhere he goes. He wants to be a dictator. He believes in a nationwide abortion ban. He believes in you only got to vote one more time, and then you never have to vote again. That's because he wants to be a dictator. And if you vote him in, he will become a dictator. He will change the Constitution, which will change the entire country. We will lose our citizenship. And when you lose your citizenship, You will not be able to vote. You will not be able to voice your opinion. And if you've seen any videos of countries with dictators, people get hurt. They get hurt when they speak out by not only the police, but the military as well. And if you actually read, right, the what do you call that? The Project 2025. If you actually read the Project 2025.org, you will see where he talks about changing the Constitution, eliminating the 14th Amendment, among many other amendments. I hope you women know that he automatically gets is getting rid of the 19th Amendment, right? Y'all know what that is, right? That's the women's rights, the white women's rights to vote. Black women and everybody else, because everybody else falls under us with the right to vote, came about through the Civil Rights Act of 1964. All that shit is out the window. Out. So I hope we're clear on this, right? Thank you for that. So I want y'all to understand this. So if there are any black women around you who are still sitting on the fence where they're not sure, or they're being heavily influenced by someone who's telling them to vote for Republicans because Donald Trump gave you 2 stimulus checks, or was it 3? I don't remember. That's not true. I put up a video maybe a week ago from the African American Global Economic Forum, where Jasmine Crockett was on this panel explaining the whole stimulus check situation, and how I hope you do understand now that no president in this country has the right to just sign off checks and create checks. Everything that a president gets the okay for has to be voted on and approved through Congress. Are we clear on that? So there's no president ever that just can say, I just want to give people money. Let me sign off on these checks and hand them out. That has never happened and will never happen in America unless they change the law to make it that way. Everything, there is a checks and balance system in this country currently, which is what Trump wants to get rid of. So for those of you that thought just because he signed his name on those checks, it came from him, you are completely wrong. And even when he did give out those checks and signed his name on them, he never told you that they had to be cleared through Congress. So your representatives voted, and the House Speaker, who was Nancy Pelosi, took the final count and said, yes, give out the checks to the people. It is a go. However, do not make a fantasy about those checks or live in a fantasy about those checks. Because I want you to also remember that during the time of those checks, black males were killing black women over those checks and leaving those children who were the reason they got those checks motherless, sometimes dead as well, in foster care, or abandoned completely because a lot of them kids didn't have extended family. So don't idolize that check shit, because it wasn't as nice as everybody's trying to make it seem, nor was his presidency. You remember that during that lockdown, when his ass was in office, black women and black femicide skyrocketed like we've never seen in this country ever. And even though we still have black femicide now and it's still climbing, it has never been as high as it was during that fucking lockdown. And I don't want y'all, thank you. And I also don't want y'all to forget all of those disgusting videos they used to have on YouTube of black males beating black women down to the fucking ground in their homes while they were locked down with them. I also don't want you to forget about the many little black girls who were seen performing fellatio on family members through the live feed by the teachers when they didn't come back fast enough from their breaks at school. There was one little girl that was very, very popular or became, how y'all say, viral because of her cousin doing to that when her parents were at work. So these are the things that when you want to talk about stimulus checks and how great it was under Trump, you remember the other shit that went along with it too. So you get a rounded picture of the bullshit that people are trying to sell you. Okay? Somebody just had an accident down the block. Yep, there they go. All right. So remember that, okay? And most importantly, as women, understand that, yeah, I get it. We have been indoctrinated for our entire lives thinking that we need a male to make us somebody or to validate us. We've been indoctrinated by religion to think that it is natural for us to live or cohabitate with a man, woman, and child. None of that is natural. All of that is man made by people who rule this world. This stuff was thought about, created, and put into motion way before any of us watching on this live right now was even thought about coming into existence. It's by saying that, I understand it's hard for a lot of women to get past the shit that has been drummed in your head. But what you got to understand is that if you like being like me and many other black women, getting up and doing exactly whatever the fuck you feel like doing, going wherever you want to go, turning your key and not answering to a motherfucker, and not having somebody go upside your head or damn near kill you because they don't like the way they answered you answered them, or you didn't respond quick enough or make the food they wanted the way they wanted it to be made. If you a black woman that don't got to deal with none of that, and even if unfortunately you are dealing with that, you want things to get better, not just change for the future. You have got to start looking at other black women and really, really accepting and understanding. We have got to start organizing our vote. Thank you for that. And voting only for the benefit of black women. And don't think I'm being fucked up by saying that. Because when you vote for the benefit of black women, think about what I'm saying now, right? You help more people than you know. Because we're considered to be like, I guess, like the lowest rung in society, the lowest stratification in society. Okay, so they say, right? All right. If we're the lowest, right, and we get everything we need, I mean everything, right? If we need, I'm sorry for that, y'all, to turn on a little air. So if we need, maybe I shouldn't do that. Okay. If we need better pay, better child care, better housing, better educational choices, better everything, right? Even safer communities. And we actually get it. Being the lowest people so called in society, that makes it better for the people above us, the ones above them, and the ones above them. You understand what I mean? And these things really can be done. Now, I have heard a lot of people on YouTube and TikTok talking all this craziness about policies and practices that Kamala Harris has not done. But the things that they don't tend to talk about that they should are the things that she has done. And some of those very things is a program she tried to get started called Lift Up, right? And for those of you that have been with me for a while, you know that I talked about universal income programs a lot. Like a year ago, I talked about that all the time. And that was because at the time, we did have like a couple of people who were running for president, even though they got eliminated way before they could even be really considered. They talked about universal income programs. And what that is basically money that the government gives to its citizens to help them make ends meet. These programs are already active in Europe. They're active in some parts of Asia. They're active in a lot of different continents, right? And they can be active here in America too, and they would actually help. They are active in America only when it is private companies or organizations or associations that are doing this for particular areas that they feel needed the most. Because I did a video on that like a year or two ago. Anyway, this is what Kamala is offering in this Lift Up program. She has done several things. Like what I want all of you to do, all of you women that are watching me, when I'm done, I want you to take your cell phone and ask Siri, please tell me all of the things Kamala Harris has done to help Black people in America. Watch all the shit that's going to come back. You will be amazed. And the Lift Up, you're going to see it there as well. I think that's one of the very last things she did outside of co-sponsoring the George Floyd bill that did not become a law. And she did several other things to help Black people get an equity and a level of inclusion in this country that we have never had before. And I'm not just saying this to boost her. This is actual facts. That's why I told you take your phone and Google, ask Siri, what has she done? And it will show you. It will tell you anyway. It'll do both. But what I want y'all to understand is the sisterhood that so many black women fight to the fucking death, like they in a Mortal Kombat fucking video, is just crazy. You know, like, stop fighting it and just let it flow. Let it flow. Let it flow and literally be your fucking sister's keeper. That's all you gotta do. Be your sister's keeper. While you being your sister's keeper, look out for her daughter too. It's that simple. And we will live better. Because if shit is good for us, and like I said, we're supposed to be the lowest. When things are good for us, it'll work better for everybody else. It just goes like that. You know how they say shit trickles downhill? Well, shit works going uphill too, right? And we know that through real life science, because that happens all the time when we watch something go from a liquid to a gas back to steam, right? That's the cycle of condensation. We know that really exists. So we can't say it only goes one way, it goes both. So we just have to work on looking out for self. And when we look out for self, we will inadvertently be looking out for everybody else. Because truth be told, Black women have been fighting for everybody else's rights except their own the way that they should. It has been way past time, right? That, thank you for that. We have sat up and said, this particular thing is affecting Black women. And we could go down. Boy, if we started that conversation, we'd be here for 3 weeks. Because if we start talking about the sabotage, the harassment, the passive aggressiveness, the silly shit we got to deal with at work, the runoff or spinoff of that we got to deal with in society, the hostile work environments. Oh my God, the way that people's tone change when they talk to us, the expectations people have of us, how you're not allowed to be introverted. If you're too quiet, people got a problem with you. If you're too loud, people got a problem with you. They're always trying to police your voice, even when you don't speak. So it is way past the time. We have literally decided, no, it's our time now. We're going to get up and do something for ourselves. So in closing this live, y'all, please do me a huge, huge favor. When you go to the poll, take another sister with you. I don't care how old she is. I would love for you to take a younger sister and introduce her to her civic duty. But if you got to grab somebody's grandmother like me, that's fine too, okay? Just take a sister with you to the poll. Take a sister with you. All right? Um, the other thing is, I had to block a dude. He threw me off for a minute. You're gonna take a sister to a poll. You're gonna vote. And the other thing I want all of you guys to do is, while we have all these people out here promoting lies and trying to promote divide and conquer among black women by talking about whether or not we twerk our ass or not, or how they think we don't have the recommended amount of modesty and morality, give your sister more sympathy, more empathy than you've ever given her before. Because the thing that really rides on this election is, this may be the very last year that black women ever are allowed to be free to express who they actually are. That is so scary about what all this shit sums up to. It's really insane. She said, "Don't leave." Why not? Kat, what's going on? What's up? You saying don't leave yet? No. Well, I finished saying what I had to say. So what do you mean? Tell me. You know you can talk to me. What's up? I wanted the black women to understand where I was coming from about hearing that really good live on TikTok, and that shit was surprising to me. Cause normally on TikTok, I'd be scrolling through those lives like bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I really do. All I ever see on there, okay, is relationship bullshit, always trying to guilt black women into fucking for free some black dude, letting some fucking loser live in their house, and making excuses for why he violated her children. I can't with that shit. That shit is too ridiculous for me. Or people arguing and fighting, or I can't with that shit is too stupid. I can't. But today, why would you say, Kat? This guy here, I like what you were saying about the expression of women. Yeah, we could talk about that some more. I don't have a problem with that. I'm glad to have you. Um, it's just like I said, I was just really blown away. I was making my Sunday dinner, and I just was popping through, and I happened to hit on that live, and I said, "Well, normally I would just flip through like bullshit," but I said, let me listen." She said, "Women could do what the fuck they." Yeah, Cat. We can do what the fuck we want to do now. But if that orange motherfucker get in office, we not gonna be able to do what the fuck we want to do. And let me just say, let me just finish that, then I'll get into that other thing, right? I heard that live, and it just like, I don't know, it really fucking affected me, where I was like, I want to go outside and talk about this because I really like this live. And that has been literally the only time that has happened to me. And I'm sorry I don't remember the name of the person who was conducting it, but it was really good. And the only issue I had with that live was that old fucking black dude with those controlling, misogynistic fucking opinions, thoughts, and speaking points. I wanted to just like go through the fucking thing and just like punch that nigga right in the throat. Like, shut the fuck up. I'm tired of you motherfuckers always talking about black women this, black women that. Like, shut the fuck up. What you say, Kat? She said, I see the power structure with Meg's performance. Black men try to little girl, they do. Don't they always try to little girl black women that will put them motherfuckers in their place? We know that's right. Because the whole thing is, if they lose so-called control of black women and little girls, in their minds, what type of manhood do they really have? Because in their opinion, from everything they've been saying on YouTube for 2 fucking decades, TikTok recently, they feel like the manipulation and control and dehumanizing of black women is what makes them supposed men. Not building shit in their community, not working and getting a solid education, and doing things like other men in their communities. Nope. Being a man is talking about the lashes I'm wearing, wigs, weaves, makeup, tight clothes, and twerking. And I thought about that one day, and I said, what is it about anything that has to do with our bodies, they get overly irrational. And I just kept thinking about it because I said it's not the obvious thing, because the obvious thing is probably not it. But it is. It is, they're men, so they know what another man would be attracted to. And since they're probably not going to look at it this way, but this is the way I'm looking at it. Since black women are always caping for them, coddling them, taking care of them, and literally being their own personal resource in this world, they can't afford for black women to no longer solely be focused on them as a relationship partner or a significant other or a male period that a black woman wants to sleep with, have children with. So they lose if a black woman is going, I have the whole world of men to choose from. I can choose any man I want to marry, father my children by, and live a good life with, even if I never decide to get married or have children. They lose when black women think like that. So that's why all the berating of black women is important. All of the shaming, blaming, name calling, and making it seem like black women have the lowest morality out of all women and everybody on the face of the planet because we twerk. If that is not the dumbest shit I've ever heard, I don't know what is. Because to me, twerking is beautiful. That's just my opinion, and I ain't no fucking lesbian. I think it's beautiful because every single black woman has her own interpretation and own ability to move her body differently. None of us are robotically the same. Like, we don't all move mechanically. All of us have different strong features and weak ones, and we use them accordingly. And so for me, when Megan is twerking, right? Is this thing still there? Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Yeah, it's still there. When Megan is twerking, or any woman is twerking, it's temporary. That's the thing they don't understand. It's temporary. Now, can things go to a point where you can have an opinion about it and even be mad? Yes. I was pissed off at the fucking, and listen to the words I'm about to say, to the fucking dance choreography of the last BET Awards. That was some straight bullshit. There was a part in that fucking performance where I think it was it our little girl Kiki, where they pulled somebody's pants down, and it was like, what the fuck is that about? Like, what the fuck are y'all doing? And this is the thing I'm talking about when we refer back to the beginning of this live, and I talk about how the white racism and the stereotypes created from slavery and the legacy of slavery and the respectability politics and the tearing down of the character and reputation of black women is ultimately originated in whiteness in America. And this is demonstrated through the control the white people who own all those black people that work in the music industry, that give the okay to the despicable displays of black women being dehumanized on stage. Like, why are you pulling this woman's pants down like that? Why? Why are you making things overly sexualized? Twerking in itself is not an issue. But when you add all these other elements to it, now you making it crazy. And that is what they decided to do. Because all of those people up there, we got to keep in mind, are performers who are trying to get paid for doing their job to perform, which is the same reason why when Meg showed up for the DNC, she danced a different way, she dressed a different way, because she is a performer. Even though she's giving a message, she is giving a performance she's looking to be paid for, or whatever the fuck she's getting in exchange for showing up and doing what she said, I commit to do it, right? And these are the things that when people in society, and especially these overly judgmental, always got some shit to say black males, don't think about. This is not strictly just an individual thing. Like when you walk down the street every day, you do not see black women just all of a sudden twerking in the middle of the street, or how they used to say, remember that Nelly song, dropping down, getting their eagle on? You don't see that shit. And even if you do have one or two crazy feeling black women, that is not a normalcy of black women. But when performers are putting on what they call extended dramatization for you to be brought into the experience, somehow, some way, people cannot differentiate between the two. Like, this is not what she does every fucking day. This is what they told her to do when she got here. And they also are not considering the fact that because she's black, they have a different standard of respectability for her than if it was a white woman, Hispanic woman, Asian woman, or any other woman. They are also not thinking about that because it's easier to just try to come at. I'm trying to take my jacket off. Sorry, y'all. Give me 1 second. It's easier to come at her about that instead of attacking the white power structure that is truly behind this shit. If you attack them, then it's like, oh, I got to be careful now. I don't want to step on too many toes because now I might be cutting off my money, my livelihood, and I don't want to do that, but I want to still talk shit about her and make it seem like she's the problem because I don't have enough courage to go after the person that I really need to be going after. And that's what I think it is in a nutshell. That's my personal opinion when it comes to, you know, how they feel they could just disrespect black women anytime they want to. Um, I'm gonna go now, y'all, because the sun is like really coming down, and I still got to get up and get ready for work tomorrow. But I did enjoy all of you, like I always do. um, I'm gonna try to find who was doing that live and see if I could catch something else they do, and I hope that they do exactly what they did today because I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thoroughly. TikTok people, I hope you got as much of this live as you could. I know that they were trying to flag me. They threw 2 restrictions on me and tried to stop me. So I hope you got as much as you can. All right. All right, my black women on YouTube. Have a blessed rest of your week. And you know I'll be uploading videos anytime something pop into my head, okay? Um, have a good rest of your night. Black women, let's get our sisterhood going. Let's remember that we need unity, exercise, all types of patience for our very trying sisters that we know exist. They need love too, okay? All right, y'all. I'll see y'all later. Okay? Have a good night. Bye. I think they think I'm moving. I'm not getting out. Good night, y'all.